Welcome to the weekly Q&A, and if you're watching this on Facebook, that's brilliant. And if you're watching this on YouTube and you're joining me for the first time, my name is Kam Dovedi. I'm the founder of Premier Property and just an investor developer over the last 29 years. And my aim here is to help you to answer your questions. So if you've got any question or even a comment, then feel free to post here. And if you're watching this on YouTube, like what I say, then you're welcome to click on the bell icon and also subscribe to these videos so that you get this on a weekly basis. And I'd love to hear from you, okay? So jumping into our questions that we've got here. So these are questions from our Premier Property community. People that are really on it, they're really on the situation of working and moving forward for their financial freedom in property. And the questions are coming from our community here, some of our students. So first of all, we've got Plashy. Plashy is asking about damp. So she's asking, please can you explain damp in properties? What is the worst case? What is the best case scenario? She wants to know about mold. She wants to know about, how does she actually identify this? Are they critical? Are they not? She also wants to know about damp meters and, how effective are they? What do you do with them? That's the question amongst a number of questions, it seems like, but really good questions. So thank you for that, Plashy. And I'm going to answer this right now for you. Now, if you're watching this and you're watching this live in the group here on Facebook, then feel free to interact. I'd love to hear from you. So if you're liking what you're hearing or you got any comments, please type them in. And like I say, if you're on YouTube, please, welcome to just let's interact. Let's get on with it and let's move forward in property. So Plashy, the thing is this, many people actually confuse damp with condensation. Now when is condensation? Condensation is not really severe as damp. So many properties have condensation, and the condensation usually arises because tenants or people living in properties, what they will do is they'll do things like they'll put the clothes over the radiators, which means that creates moisture, and the moisture gets together, and that can end up creating these sort of little black mold patches, which isn't something too concerned to be not something not to be concerned about, because you can clean those. That can be wiped away. And one of the best methods for getting rid of condensation is literally having heating on at a at a reasonable level, where the temperature is in the sort of early 20s. And what that means is that that condensation will be kept at bay. Excuse me. Now, another place that you'll find condensation is usually in the bathroom areas. Now this is where people are not opening windows, so that condensation gathers. Again, it creates those little black mold patches. That doesn't look very nice. However, like what I say, those are very easily treatable things. Not really a problem. You can just wipe them clean, and that is usually fine with a little bit of heating. Opening windows helps. Also, if there are any vents, which there usually are in a bathroom, or you have a fan there to of course make sure that the condensation is removed. If the fan's not working or is turned off or the vent is blocked up, then what you'll also find is that will create condensation. So these are things, to be fair, when you're renting properties, something that you really want to make the people living in your properties aware of. And when you make them aware of them, they're usually fine with that, they usually understand that, and the condensation goes away. Now thinking about damp. Now, damp is more severe. Now, the thing about damp is many people confuse damp with water ingress through ceilings and roof spaces. So if you've got something that looks like damp and it's coming through the ceiling, then that's not necessarily rising damp. What that usually means is there's some problem with the roof, sometimes some slip tiles or things like that, which can be fixed, or it's guttering with vegetation in there usually, where it's been blocked up. So, just by cleaning the guttering, fixing the tiles, what you will find is that situation becomes much more easier for you, and the damp goes away because it wasn't damp in the first place. But the challenge is rising damp. Now, the rising damp, of course, rises from the ground upwards, and that's something that you want to be aware of. Now, the thing is, at Premier Property, we call this, we call this cosmetic, because there are solutions for this. So a damp proof course will solve the problem, also known as a DPC, and that is either by injection or that's by chemicals within the sand and cement, and that can rectify that. That you can get done by a professional. You can get a guarantee for this as well. And with that, that damp will really be rectified and it will go away. And what you'll find is what you got is a very habitable property, and that is there for you. We can discuss numbers maybe in another video. I'm conscious of time. I'm conscious I've got other questions there to answer as well. But we will do that. Just let me know if you would like that. Just give me a quick yes. If you're watching this on YouTube, just let me know if you want to know about facts and figures as well. Amongst the facts, then happy to do that. Just comment here below. Click on that bell icon. Make sure you're here ready for the next notification for the next video. And I will continue to share with you as long as you would like me to share with you. Okay. Joining us is Adam. Adam is here. Great. And Rajwan is here as well. I can see a number of you. Brilliant. Craig is here as well. Excellent. Right. So, Palashi, hope that answers some of your question. Now, when it comes to your damp-proof meter, so with a damp-proof meter, you can buy these, anywhere between 20 to 30 pounds, something like that, in that sort of price range. It doesn't have to be a whole, singing bells and whistles type of damp-proof meter. You can get something very simple, like I say, 20, 30 pounds, something like that. And what that will help you to do, it will actually gauge the dampness in a wall. So you literally just put it against the wall and it will actually measure between 1 and 10, and it'll actually let you know how severe the damp is. So if it's 1, 2, 3, that's very low level damp. Sometimes that's usually in a property where it hasn't been heated for a while. So if you imagine, in the winter months, cold property, empty property, heating hasn't been on. When you turn the heating on, that usually, really goes away, and what you've got is a really good property. If it's more severe and it's in the higher numbers, above 5, in the more 6, 7, 8, 9s and 10s, then you have a damp situation where, like I just mentioned, you can look at a damp-proof course. But my point is that this is all resolved, whichever way you want to resolve it, it can be resolved, whether that's through a DPC or whether that's understanding that it's condensation. Palashi, as usual, a really good question, and you have helped so many people to really understand this. Okay, so next up we have Barry. So we've got Barry Dunford, another one of our Premier Property Inner Circle members. The man is on it. And the question being asked here is, hi there Cam, just to confirm, obtaining funding for a commercial to residential build project, what funds can you actually borrow? Can you borrow the purchase costs and refurb costs? Also, if it's a real big project, example, a large commercial site, with the opportunity to convert to residential apartments, also with the possibility of some additional townhouses on the site, subject to planning, of course. So all about borrowing. Okay, cool. Really good question. Now, as you know, I am not a financial advisor. All I am is a developer and investor, and I'm going to share with you what we actually do with projects like this. So in my experience, this is commercial funding. So commercial funding will typically be, where we are right now, we're getting anywhere between 60 to 70% loan to value in terms of commercial funding. So the rest of it you got to put in yourself. You got to find that money. The up to 65 to 70% is what the commercial finance will be for you for the purchase price. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can do this with one lender, or you can do it with a couple of lenders. So one of the ways that we do this is, we'll use short-term finance to actually secure the deal, and then we'll refinance with a commercial product. Now, if you're using this method, then when you're refinancing to the commercial product, what you will find is the commercial product, you can typically get it refinanced to the end value. Also, just for clarity, known as the GDV, the gross development value, the top value once you've done all the works and you've done your conversion. So what you will typically get is 65 to 70% in my experience. We've achieved this year for a few projects in development, actually 3 projects in fact this year just in development, where we've achieved, well, we were told we might get 65, but actually we got 70% in the end. So that was pretty good. We were happy with that. So 70% in terms of the end value. Now, what that means is that where your end value is going to be higher, that you will be able to literally borrow all the money that you need to pay off the initial bridge that you had. So that's what we do. And then what you've also got is you've got money for the actual conversion itself and the build. So the thing is, this is not normally given to you all, we never receive that as a lump sum all in one time at Premier. What happens is they are in tranches. So you will have a surveyor that will come on site, they will assess the work that has been done in a nutshell, and what they will do is they will release the funds to you in tranches. However, the beautiful thing, the perfect thing that works for you in developments like this and conversions is that you have all the money that you need to actually build or convert what you are doing, converting. So your asset gets built, all the fees are paid with the funding that you're getting from this commercial lender. And sometimes you don't even need to borrow all the way up to the 70%. Sometimes you find that you've got that contingency there, which means that your loan to value is actually even lower. So what I love about conversions and developments is exactly what I've just shared with you. The money really comes from the bank. Now, another way that you could do this is you can find commercial products. We do this sometimes as well. I've done one of these this year where we've literally worked with one commercial financier and one lender. And what's happened is they've literally lent to the purchase, as I've explained. So we haven't used a short-term finance. We've just used that lender to get the purchase, and that was at 70%. And then we've done the same thing as I've just explained, but it's been with the same lender. The great thing about lenders, what I find with development, is that they are quite negotiable. You can discuss them. They're quite amicable to work with you. They will ask you for a lot of details, so be prepared for that. But you just answer the questions that are being asked, and you get your funding. So yeah, I like your style, Barry. So I'm looking forward to helping you with one of your projects that you're going to be finding now. So brilliant question. Thank you very much. Okay, so next up we've got another question here. So this is a question by Adam Wu. Adam's cool, part of the Premier Property Inner Circle, has challenges with technology, but definitely doesn't have challenges when it comes to property, right, Adam? Adam is joining us here right now. Hopefully you can hear me loud and clear. So a question from Adam is, does PD rights allow converting a ground floor commercial unit into a residential development? And currently it's being used as a dry cleaners. Can it be converted into a residential under permitted development? Now, Adam has hit the nail on the head there, if you pardon the pun, because permitted development is such a subject. We're at Premier Property, we're very passionate about what's happening in permitted development and development. Really cutting edge stuff. An opportunity of a lifetime is happening right now within permitted development. So, be rest assured, I will be doing more videos all around permitted development because, it really is a first mover advantage. And many people out there don't even, really at the moment don't really know about it, to be fair. New changes happening. So, Adam, so in my experience, this is what's actually happening. The planners, the local planners in local planning, they do not like losing units in commercial. So what they like is they like the fact that you retain the unit. Now, provided you retain the unit, the case is they don't really care how much of it you retain. What they care is that you retain it. So my point is, now I'm going to go a little bit technical. That's okay. We can cover some more of this, of course, in another video. But Adam, what I would do with your scenario there is look at finding out if you can get access, whether that's front access or side access there into that property. Because what you can do is you can actually carve a space at the back of that property, provided you can create the access, and you can use the PD right of Class M for this. And if you're thinking, what is that, Class M and so on, like I said, we'll share more with you. But what that will allow you to do, in a nutshell, is to create a residential space at the back of that unit. So the unit becomes smaller. The back of the unit with Class M becomes a residential unit. So a C3 unit. You don't have to ask anybody anything for that one. You do not have to ask the planners. You can just do it. Now, just do be aware that you will need to put in a prior approval notice, 56 days, but you can just do it. I would use the belts and braces approach, which is I would consult with a local planning consultant who can advise you on this, just to make sure that you are absolutely doing the right thing, because I haven't seen the project and we're doing a YouTube video here, okay? So, you know, my conscience is clear. I'm explaining it without seeing the project, but that's typically what you can do. So please just double check that with a planning consultant, but I'm pretty sure the planning consultant will say exactly the same. So you can use Class M, create a residential unit. You can just do it. You can also punch in some windows if required. You can cut doorways as well. No planning required. Really cool stuff. And you can do that up to 150 square meters, provided it's not in a conservation area and provided it's not a listed building. And like I say, I'll say it one more time, do double check with a planning consultant, very important. Exciting stuff, Adam. I'm loving your style of thinking. Brilliant, thank you very much. Right, next question here is by Nilesh. Okay, so we've got a lot of PD and development vibe today, which is pretty cool. So Nilesh is asking, I've been looking for houses with corner plots and big gardens. Is there a minimum size of garden that you need? I've seen a house with a rear garden. Basically asking questions about, you know, how big should the garden be to do this. Okay, so Nilesh, fantastic question. I like your style, you know, going large, all about developing. So I'm going to answer this question right now. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you know you can subscribe right now if you haven't already. I know I'm talking quite fast. I've had too many cups of coffee, but that's okay. I want to get this question in as well and get the answer for this question in as well for you. And if you want to click on the bell icon, you can do that right now. Click on that bell icon to make sure you get the fun the same time this time next week. As I've said earlier on, I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to hear your sincerely love to hear your comments as well. Okay, so Nilesh, so now there are variations to this, but I'm going to give you you're going to get a quick summary from me for this. So what works, you know, houses at the back of a garden do not work. That is a bit of myth, conceptual stuff that people say out there. Corner plots, as you are mentioning, do work. Now, typically, for a three-stroke 4-bedroom house that is already there, you will require 10 to 20 square meters of garden space for that property. Now, these do vary across the country depending on where you are. So you do need to check your local planning rules and so on. Very easy to do. You can check that on Google, basically. Go on there and it will give you the measurements of what is allowed and what isn't allowed. So please do check that. Very important that you get this right, please. Okay, so you check in, and what you'll find is typically 10 to 20 square meters, like what I say, is required for your existing property. Then if you're building typically, let's say, a 2-bedroom house, where typically you will require 100 square meters for that. So that's on 2 stories, 100 square meters. So if you think about the footprint of the property, then the gross internal area, the GIA, the space basically for that plot where you're going to build a house, it's going to be 2 stories. If it's 100 square meters, it's going to be 50 and 50 typically, isn't it? So you need 50 square meters for that house. Okay, and for that house you will also require typically 50 square meters as extra garden space. Now the great thing is you can very quickly and easily map this out on a floor plan. You can have a look at Google Earth. You can actually find the area and the space, and you can just measure it. You can just measure it and map it out. Just draw lines on it. Print it out. Do it your way. Just use a ruler and just get an idea. First level due diligence, very important if you're following what I'm saying here. Now, once you do this, and if it's got this space, then that is a very strong 8 potential between 1 and 10, where 1 is no chance and 10 is guaranteed planning permission with building control. So this will put you in the realms of a strong 8 for applying for planning. You're going to have to apply for planning, but you are in a strong 8 because you've got the space there. So hopefully you've got that. So I'll just recap that very quickly. So if it's a 3-stroke 4-bedroom house on a corner plot, you need typically 20 square meters for for that property, so you allow that in the garden. You then got to allow a further 50 square meters of garden space for the new garden, for the new property you're going to build. And then for a 100 square meter house, so typically 2 bedrooms, 2/3, usually 2, for that you need on the ground 50 square meters for that, because you have 50 square on the ground and 50 square on the first floor. And if you've got that space, then that is a very strong 8 to do what you want to be doing. Nilesh, loving that question. So, some really good questions coming in. And we've got another one here. Okay. Cool. So, Craig's asking, I'm just reading off here as we go along. So just come in this question. So, Craig is asking, I want your advice on class changes. Tim, if you're here, feel free to give a quick thumbs up or a hi or a smiley face. I'd love to hear from you. It's nice to know that you're here. Orlean's here as well. Adam's sticking in here as well. Brilliant. Okay, so, right. Hi Cam, I wanted your advice on class change. There is a mid-terraced house extended at the back that was used for a doctor's, most now vacant, up for 375k. If converted back, would be worth 500. But recently, apparently, Greenwich Council have denied the change of use back to residential. I'm just wondering if they can actually do that and stop it being turned back when it was built as a house in a residential area. Is it worth pursuing this property if the numbers work, or is it likely the council would just keep getting in the way if that's what they have already decided? The current class is D1. Okay, so Craig, the thing is, you've got to be aware of conservation areas. So you've got to check Greenwich, if that area, Greenwich, is it a conservation area? If it's a conservation area, then you can't do it. If it's not, or a listed building, you can't do it. If it's not a conservation area and it's not a listed building, then you can change the class of that property. You can change the class. You can take it from the use class order of being a D1, and you can change it into another class, such as A1. Now, you can't convert that into residential, because residential is C3. Now, if you're watching this and you're thinking, what the heck is all this about? Stay with me. These are things that we could extrapolate later. Or maybe you know what I'm talking about here. That's absolutely fine too, right? But what we're saying here is that the use classes, there's a designated use class for every single property there is in the country. And the use class order has just changed in 1st of September 2020. It's become so much easier because these designations have all been bunched up into new categories. So whereas before there were different categories such as A1, A2, A3, D1, C3, and so on, different use classes, different designations, a number of them have been put in together as one bunch. So you can actually, if they're all in one bunch, like I'm sharing it with you, what that means is if something's, for example, an A1, which is a retail, that can very easily be changed into an A2, which is a retail office space, without having to ask anybody. So that's the scenario there. But what I'm sharing here with you, what you're asking there is to change it into a residential, a C3. So you can't just do that within those classes because they are not one of the relevant classes. You could change it into one of the other classes within, like I say, the class E, which is the same batch. But if you wanted to convert it into residential, into C3, then you would have to go down the route of using one of the permitted development rights, such as Class M. However, if it's a conservation area, and I believe where you're talking about is, you've got to check that, then you have to go for full planning to convert that. So that's the scenario that you got there. Hope that helps there. So next thing to do is to find out all of this. Find out, is it a conservation area? If it is, then it's planning. If it isn't, then you can think about permitted developments, and of course I'll help you with that, as you are, of course, in our Premier Property community, and I know you're on it. So great question there, Craig. So hope you guys have enjoyed these questions, and they've been quite intensive today, haven't they? I've really enjoyed them. Thank you for the questions. I hope you're enjoying the answers. It's Kam Dovedi here, helping you take your property investing to the next level. Feel free to subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. same time next week. See you later.